Hello again. So this is going to be nothing to do with the actual performance of the kit. No rudiments, no beats, none of that. Real quick, just some things again that my late teacher Bob taught me. Because he auditioned people to get into the lessons that he would teach, and I just sat down, and I'll briefly explain this. I sat down, and he just kind of stood back. And this is my first meeting of the guy as well, don't forget. And he just went, "You're doing 3 things wrong straight away. Get up, go stand over there." And so I thought, right, wow, okay. All these people that recommended me to Bob are, I don't know what they're thinking. But yeah, those 3 things were, which I'll add a 4th that I later learned from him. But the 3 things were, I was sitting too close, my snare drum was too high, and my hi-hat was too far over here. And so, as you can see, I have a wonderful Gibraltar-based hardware hi-hat stand right here with a wonderfully straight pull rod. No, I don't actually. I don't have that with me. But yes, he said you're sitting too close, your snare's too high, and your hi-hat is too far over to the kind of almost encroaching into this lower hemisphere of the snare drum. And so just make it a mental checklist. Again, it's not so much that this is the way that it has to be done, but this is a way that if you set out at an early stage, you get decent habits, right? You develop these good habits for the future, much like I'm sure everybody's parents said, brush your teeth before you go to bed, get up a little bit earlier, leave the house earlier, get into the they probably said get into the habit of doing X, Y, and Z, just so that it gets you down the road. You don't have to go back and undo so many ingrained, possibly bad habits. So to see if you're sitting too close, you just want your leg to be, and I'm probably sitting too high. Yeah, I'm probably a little bit too high personally, but you want to be so that your leg comes off and you've got a bit of an angle down onto your foot, translating into the pedal. So what that might look like, if I brought this up, is we're not here, we're about there. So you've got a bit of momentum, you take off direct impact from the joints there. So that's a good rough way to see how far away you should be. Again, people's limbs are different, so it'll be a bit of a subjective thing there. As for the snare, probably nothing new here, but if it is, you roughly want it to be about your belt buckle height. And Bob showed me a good trick where if you lay your stick on that, it should come into your belt buckle, which I'm just about in. I could be a little bit more, so shame on me, really. I apologize. But yes, you want it to be about where your belt buckle is. And as for the hi-hat, that's a tricky one. That's always been an uncomfortable thing, but that should be realistically up at the front so that your left foot is pretty much replicating the same kind of position as your right foot. Personally, I still find it comfortable to widen myself out there and send my left foot over to this end and have my hi-hat hanging over the snare drum a bit. Again, from his position, the hi-hat shouldn't hang over the snare drum, which I can appreciate because it can get in the way. But again, these are just little rough ballpark figures to see how you can maybe maximize your playing and your fluidity. And the 4th bit here is, again, I forget who said it, but they said you should sit on about 10% of your drum stool. So 90% of your stool should be useless. And this is an old stool. I'm not a fan of these motorcycle chairs. I prefer the round. In case you're wondering, I find that you can get a bit more of a comfortable perch on them. But really what you're looking at is you should be nice and tall on about 10%, the top 10% of that stool. Sitting nice and tall. And again, adjust these things, try them out. There's no hard and fast rules for things, just things that might make things a little bit more easy and forgiving on the body down the road. Have a great day.